We also stream live on YouTube, which you can see right now. We're getting hooked up. So if you need to jump off the call for any reason, then just go ahead and jump on YouTube. It's under Ariel Policano on YouTube. And there you go. And you can subscribe to that for the latest updates, things related to the Genius. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for being part of our Genius community. We do really appreciate it. Now, what we did is we posted the guide for this already on a blog post that'll be updated later. So let's go ahead and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sophie. Dale, you came prepared today. I love it. You are absolutely on point. So maybe we can look into what you just posted about, and everybody can participate in the chat. And we like to keep it related to the Genius, which you guys are doing very well. And let's go ahead. Sophie, thank you so much. Bonnie, thank you so much. So what we can do, if somebody just posts something in the Q&A, then we can post the blog post in the Q&A as well. This is Dr. Ariel Policano, and we're at geniusbiofeedback.com to learn more information. Angela has a burning question on the hormone section. I could be wrong, but didn't it have estrogen in there also? If it's missing, then definitely send us a message. If you see something that's changed in the hormones, then send us a message. Surprisingly, I'm actually not the developer, but we do all of the training and support, but we can definitely respond to any issues that you're seeing. So I'm typing in the answered questions here. You're going to see the actual link for today that has the Spinal Energy Guide. This Spinal Energy Guide is sort of a sampling of what comes on our desk reference success cards. So many of you have the desk reference success cards. If you got the upgraded package or greater, I'd say in the last 2 years, then you probably got the desk reference success cards. If not, you can go right on to the website and you can see them here. So what they do is they make it easy for you to learn about the Genius. And we are coming up with a number 2 set of cards to be released in the fall, which is going to cover more panels. I think it'll be very exciting. And it really makes connections to other parts of the Genius as well. Today, we're going to focus on spinal energy, what that panel is and why it's important. Every week, we bring you free training about natural health, about the Genius. We answer your questions. So you can just dive into the chat and ask any of your questions. Now, over the weekend, we did get a lot of support questions that people were going into the Genius, of course. We sent this email out on Friday. Check your email. And you can see that some people are coming up app not available. What I want to let you know is that that is Apple doing its little tricks. You have to be actively using the app on a weekly basis. And every year you need to just do the mandatory update 1 time per year. If you're not using the Genius that week, and this is Apple, not us, it actually flips you into where you can't open the icon and you have to re-download the icon. So what we've done is we've sent an email that has all of that information. If you didn't get the email, we can forward it to you, but it is only for Apple users. For Android users, you do not need to do anything. You can completely ignore this information. Now, for both Apple and Android, we are coming out with a new version of the Genius. The developer tells me it's going to be this week. As soon as we know the day that it is released, I will be doing probably like a live stream of the changes, telling you all about it, getting out lots of emails, screenshots, training, videos, everything we need to do. It's positive updates. There's nothing that you wouldn't know how to use going into the Genius. It's only going to enhance the Genius. The one thing that's wonderful about the Genius Biofeedback system is all updates are free, as the developer is like, you know, in his laboratory, basically going, how can I make this better? How can I improve it? You're going to get the benefit of all of that. So I think you'll enjoy some of the new updates that are coming out. We did go cover them a few weeks ago, but we're going to wait until it is actually live and then cover all the updates for you. So If you have anything else that is related to your device, then just send a message to support@geniusbiofeedback.com, and we'll be absolutely happy to work with you. Will current libraries work with the new format? Of course they will. Why would they not? Why would they not? Everything will work with the new version, Laura. Rest assured. You know, people who come and are looking at the Genius, so interesting, that are looking at other types of quantum biofeedback. It's wonderful because if you get one of the bigger box systems, which is maybe $15,000, $20,000, you will have to pay for an update every year. There's other systems as well, different testing systems. I know that you have to pay a membership fee every year. And then there's mobile quantum biofeedback devices where if you do not pay every single month and it never ends, then they will just turn the device off. And all that money that you've paid previously is good for nothing until you pay the membership fee. You cannot use it. So very, very good. Looking forward to the Android update. Just to let you know, I think there's a lot of confusion. The Apple update was not an update. There was nothing new in the Apple that we are talking about, the Apple update. It was just a mandatory update. So people on Android are saying, where's my update? It's just a mandatory update with nothing new. So Android and Apple are on par right now. Nobody has any additional features that Android doesn't have on Apple's side. You don't have features. Android doesn't have features. There's nothing new until the new update comes out. All right, let's get into what we're talking about today and look a little bit at our week here at the Genius. And I did forget a slide on this, but I do want to let you know about a new training. So, all right. This is going to be cut off, so let me just adjust this. All right, every week we have a weekly training on quantum biofeedback. It's all about natural health and the Genius. You're welcome. So if you're arriving, welcome to your week, and thank you so much for joining. Please do put your questions into the chat. I will also address your questions. Please let them be based on features of the Genius, not a customer service issue that you personally need to have resolved. Okay. So every Monday at 9 a.m., we live stream this beautiful. We have on Thursday, we have our Frequency of 528 podcast. And on the podcast this week, I'm going to be talking about sacred geometry. So if you've ever wondered about the flower of life or Metatron's cube, or we're going to be talking about some more esoteric aspects that are both on the Genius and things that are not actually included on the Genius. And I'll even be introducing a new remedy plate. Let me see if I can grab that while we're talking here. And it's just for fun. Nobody will see this live, and then I'll show you a demonstration of it on the podcast. And it actually has this type of energy called a tesseract energy. So we'll be talking about what tesseract geometry is. So if we can show this on camera here. So we'll be talking about this remedy plate, which is a really powerful broadcaster that has several layers of sacred geometry on it. And it'll just be really fun to talk about the different aspects of sacred geometry, but also how you can practically use sacred geometry in your own life for personal transformation. So that's the podcast. It's called the Frequency of 528 podcast, and you can listen to it if you run, walk, do something during the day. Just check out my podcast on Apple Podcast or on Spotify. Okay, now every week, usually a Tuesday at 8 o'clock, what B'nai Benkei does is she reviews all of our courses and gives you an opportunity to get a discount on the course that she's featuring. So there is no class this Tuesday. It's on vacation, but it will be back next Tuesday. So every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Pacific, you can tune in, and she always shows excerpts of the training, so you can always learn something with her. Now we do have a new training, and I'm so sorry I don't have a slide on it, but if you go to our events page, you can see it there as well as the registration. So let me maybe back out for a moment here and let's do this together. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, and let me tell you a little bit about the training that we're going to be having. It's going to be hosted by two of our practitioners who are going to alternate hosting it. And if we go to our events page right here, And we're going to have a weekly Q&A hour on Wednesdays. So show more, and we can get the Zoom right here. So Andrea, if you're joining us and you'd like to say hi, we'd love to introduce you if you feel up to it. If not, I completely understand. But this is going to be Wednesdays at 12 o'clock Pacific, and Andrea is going to host the first one. This training is really for your new users. So if you're new or you know someone who is, come to class ready to ask their basic questions. How do I set up a session? What are some tips for getting started? What is the basic process all about? So we're going to have that every single week, and it will be alternately hosted by Andrea, one of our Genius practitioners, very talented, and Mary Sunshine. So you may have known Mary from the Miracles Hour, and she is going to be hosting it every other week. All right. So that is the Zoom for the Q&A. Okay. So if you want to come to Q&A anytime on Wednesday, sign up for that. And of course, as a lot of our trainings are, that one is free. So check it out Wednesday at noon. You can see our other events on our event calendar, which is listed right here on the website under the events page. So let's just go ahead and link that as well. Okie dokie, we got that one. All right, let's go back here then. Very, very good. Now go back one. Now we do have a free community class on August 11th. So our free community class is coming up on August 11th, and this is about our class about affirmations and how to transform your life with affirmations. So this is happening on the 11th. So sorry about that. And we're going to get this. We got this. Come on now. We got it, right? There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So we've got a free community class on Thursday at noon. That's with me. And if you were with us last Thursday, you saw some amazing transformation. We worked with Rochelle. We worked with Patty. And we took them from a place of incredible, where they were to where they went was amazing to observe. And it's with a specific process that we used in our Power of Affirmations class, working with the mind to help the mind to really move into the affirmation that the person wants to speak, removing the blockages to creating that which you really want. So if that's something that you're interested, come to our community class. You can even volunteer. It's especially wonderful for people who have true physical symptoms, people who are in a lot of pain in some way. It works great. And we're teaching this as an adjunct to using the Genius, to using this process in your practice to help people, especially people who are really stuck in their pain and in their illness. Your Genius frequencies will work so much better when you implement this process. So join us. You can sign up at the events page. So go to the events page at geniusbiofeedback.com and just come and hang out with us and see what that process is all about and see the transformation that people are experiencing. Okay, we're going to answer your questions. I know there's a lot of questions that are going into the chat. And we do have a business membership. The business membership for those who are members, we will be talking about neuroregeneration, which is our library for the month in the business membership class. I'm answering that because Laura just asked this in the chat here. And it's all about nervous system issues, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and how we can use frequencies for these particular conditions. And our meetings are always 3 Wednesdays of the month, starting with the second Wednesday of the month. And just log into your portal and the learning portal for the business membership, Laura, to learn more. We'd love to have you join us for the live class. And all of the information is in the portal. Now, if you're new to our classes, as I said before, I'm a naturopathic doctor. My name is Ariel Policano. I teach these classes every Monday at 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. We go over the principles of quantum biofeedback. Quantum biofeedback is a set of different brands of the same type of technology, which seeks to assess you in terms of frequency. So we find out what your frequency is today by listening to the voice with a sophisticated voice engine. And we find out where you have something called reactivity. These are places where you have imbalances in the body, and we call these stress disturbances. So the Genius is a tool that helps to reduce stress in the field, in the biofield. If you want to know more about the biofield and what the principles of energy medicine are, we've created a course called the Energy Medicine Course, and it's available for download at geniusbiofeedback.com. People have taken the course, have found it really helpful in understanding why the Genius is so effective because of principles such as entrainment and coherence. So the Genius listens to your voice, it determines your stress disturbances, and then it feeds back the frequency, like a frequency homeopathic. It gives you back the perfect frequencies that you need for today. And in the process of doing that, it actually reveals where the weak spots are. So you gain a cognitive awareness of, hey, these might be some weak spots, some blind spots that I need to look at and think about. And that is the power of quantum biofeedback. The Genius is unique in that it is mobile, easy to take with you anywhere, inexpensive compared to those big box systems, and incredibly dynamic because of our library creation system that allows you to create libraries in any topics that you wish in order to help yourself and those around you. The Thursday class is free. So on Thursday, we have a community class about the power of affirmations that is completely free to the community. It's a free community class. You can sign up at the events page, and you can join us Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. You can see all about the power of affirmation process working with the mind. So great question. Keep your questions going in the chat. I'm going to come back to them and look at them as we go through spinal energy, even during the class. So I really do want you to you can go to our Q&A class to ask your basic questions. You can come to my class to ask basically any question, basic, advanced, anything you want to know. I will do my best to answer those. Okay, let's get on for the topic of the day. So one of the main panels within the Genius on the system overview is called spinal energy. With the spinal energy panel, what the heck do you do with it? You see all of these things on the panel, and it says things like C1, C2, T1, and it shows you red and blue colors. What is all of that about, and why is it even important? So the spinal energy is actually representing the nerves that are emerging from your spinal column. So your central nervous system is comprised of, let me just take care of this here. Your central nervous system is comprised of your brain and your spinal cord. So brain up here, spinal cord is a nerve that runs through the spinal column. And you know about the vertebra. The vertebra keep your spine. You can see a picture of it here. Obviously keeps you, very, very healthy and so forth, in terms of structure and support. But what do we need to know about spinal energy? Is it related to really the bones of the spine? It's not so much related to the bones of the spine. It is really telling us, although if the bones are out of alignment, it will affect what this panel is really about, which is the spinal energy. You see, from the spine itself, the spinal column, which is contained within the vertebra, emerge nerves. And these nerves come out, they're called our peripheral nervous system. And these nerves, then here's a medical term, innervate, which means they give power to the muscles and organs of glands of the body. So as we sort of back up, if we think about that there might be something going on with the liver, or there might be something going on with the trapezius muscle, or there might be something going on with the adrenal glands. If there's compression of a spinal nerve based on a tight muscle or a vertebra that is misaligned, this will then in turn affect that organ. And also, if we see that a spinal energy is out of balance, it gives us more information about which muscles, organs, or glands might be also out of balance in some way. It also can help us because there are emotional connections that we might be able to make based on these different spinal energies that are out. especially if you've ever noticed, oh, this keeps going out, it keeps going out, it keeps going out, whatever that spinal vertebra is. Oh my, this always seems to just be out of balance. It could be an emotional reason underpinning. It could also be a past injury, or it could be something wrong within the organ itself that is then reverberating back through the nerve. So now the nerve seems to have this stress disturbance. So there's a lot you can learn from spinal energy that is not obvious on its face when you're first going into spinal energy and trying to figure out what this is all about. So once again, your whole nervous system, the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord, and then emerging, sort of like a tree branching out, you have the peripheral nervous system, which comes through the vertebra and then innervates or gives power to the rest of the body. So when there's irritation and inflammation in the spine, then the nerves cannot function as well as they could. So we run the energies of the different spinal segments in order to reduce the stress disturbance in that area so the nerves can begin to function well. So this is what we're actually seeing, right? This is the vertebra. These are the bones, right? These are the discs in between the vertebral bones supporting, giving support to the vertebra. But then inside is the actual spinal cord. And then the spinal cord is going to branch out here and then come out through these foramen, these openings. And then these spinal nerves reach out to the muscles and they give power to the muscles. They give power to the digestive system, the pancreas, the adrenal glands, the kidneys. So all of these organs are innervated or given electrical power by these spinal nerves. So now, if somehow your muscles are tight and they pull the spine out of alignment or in some way cause an impingement of the nerve, then the signal is not going clearly to the organ and the organ will be affected. So we see another picture here, just giving us a viewpoint of the vertebra and then the discs and then the spinal nerve itself. And then these nerves that emerge from here and same thing, give power to those muscles, organs, and glands. Now, we also see, this gives a little bit more information about what we're seeing on the spinal panel when we're seeing C1, C2, C3. What do those mean? So C is for cervical. So the cervical spine is the spine of your neck. It has a very specific curve to it, and anybody who's ever been in a rear end accident or some other kind, usually rear end, you may have heard of whiplash. And the problem with whiplash is that it can erode or negate the incredibly, you can't see it as well here, but there is a sort of like an S-shaped or a little bit of a curvature, maybe S-shaped isn't fine, but like a little bit of a, there should be a curve, can't see it as well on this particular picture, but there should be sort of a forward curve to the cervical spine. When whiplash happens, you may see just an up and down and a removal of the curve, which puts more pressure on the rest of the spine as a result. So that's the cervical. People have all types of issues with their neck, of course, from past injuries, but also because of, unfortunately, devices. So as much as you can keep your device sort of in a vertical position, and we do have a good stand from a company called thoughtout.biz. You may have sometimes seen this stand or any type of a stand. And when I'm using my Genius, I'm always putting it on this stand to sort of have a more vertical sort of viewpoint of the Genius instead of constantly looking down at it laying down. So that could really help. The thoracic is the back. So everywhere you have ribs, you also have the thoracic vertebra. So then you have the lower part, so the lumbar spine, and then you have the sacrum and you have the coccyx. So the spine is incredibly important. The whole goal of yoga, any type of yoga, is really to strengthen the spine. And Western sedentary habits are just notorious for, especially sitting, for weakening the spine and later developing all types of problems, whether it be in the disc, postural, and structure brings function. So the structure and strength of the spine is immensely important. Now, it's interesting, yoga itself was not developed particularly to keep the spine strong per se, but it was there's a spiritual or a metaphysical energy that runs up the spine, and the middle of the spine is called the Sushumna Nadi. And when you clear the blockages to the spine through yoga, you do by default strengthen the spine. But the whole goal was to clear any blocks that would block the energy from coming up the base of the spine up to the crown chakra and allowing enlightenment through this channel called the Sushumna Nadi. So that was the whole goal of all the yoga postures, but side benefit, they're immensely important for strengthening the spine. And the strengthening and stretching of the spine cannot be emphasized enough, because it does help the nerve flow and energy to stay strong. We really don't want the spine to not have that beautiful curve and not have an openness and a suppleness to it, because it is constantly communicating, we could say, encoded information. It is which is coming through the nervous system. So this information is really important. When we talk about the biofield, we're talking about striving for clear communication of electrical energy. And so it is just really important, whatever you can do for the spine, decompress it, inverted postures, yoga, stretching, walking, exercising, anything that you can do, sort of, since we're always sort of in a flexed position, whatever you can do to go into an extension position and help to support the spine. Very, very good for your overall health. Just another picture here, so you can just sort of see this in living color. So the disc itself requires constant hydration, good nutrition, a strong musculature, strong ligaments to allow the disc to stay healthy. And so flexion and extension, side bending, all these things, good diet, hydration helps the disc itself. But if there are weak muscles for a long time, somebody goes to lift something, they go, oh my gosh, I think, I did something. It could be a disc herniation. And in a disc herniation, this is a very serious thing to happen to a person's back. We hope that you never have this happen. Take good care of your spine. The disc actually moves out of the space of where it is supposed to be maintained, and it moves and compresses on the spinal nerve. And so obviously you can see the irritation and inflammation. This is immensely important, because now we know those nerves go to innervate or give electrical flow to the muscles, organs, and glands. So if there's any type of irritation, it's going to also affect that function at the organ level. So anyone who has that herniated disc, not only are they in tremendous pain, but they're also decreasing the functionality of the related things that the nerve is connected to. Okay, so the spinal energy panel is something I want you to try some new things this week. One thing you could do is just start all of your sessions with the spinal energy panel. So just put the spinal energy panel on quick balance for 5 minutes and try that. And also observe what's at the very top. What are the highest reds? What are the lowest blues? And then you can use the guide that we've handed out today to start to make some connections to emotions, to different organs and glandular systems, which may also be out of balance. And then that gives you a sort of a hint about things you should also look at that may be connected to those spinal nerves. You could just use it as a revitalization panel for anybody who's in total exhaustion. For somebody who's in total exhaustion, this is affecting or sort of jangling their nervous system. So you could just run it as a revitalization tonic, run it on 15 minutes, or you could even try putting all the spinal nerves into the main whole tray, all the reds, all the greens, and all the blues, and then go to Progressive Insights, retest it, even just export every spinal nerve in the panel to your Quanta capsule and try running every spinal nerve for yourself. You can use it to screen someone for overall issues. So as you're trying to wonder, like, what is the root cause of what's going on with them, you can look at the spinal energy as a way to find the weaknesses. And as I said, you can use it all on its own as a total body tune-up, sort of as a tonic that's going to, if you affect the nerves, it's going to affect the entire body. Okay, so right off the bat, Dale came ready to join us and had an issue that he's going to share with us. So Dale will go right into inviting you up here and work with you today. So he has volunteered to be our spinal nerve volunteer, and then we'll also get to some of your questions. We'll just record, hopefully get to record his voice and picture. And of course, bring the genius up here as well.
Okay. I think I'm
hey Dale, how you doing?
good. Good.
All
Thank you
right,
very much.
so I'm bringing the genius up here as well in just a moment, but tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, I'm getting tingling in my hand, and I don't understand why. I'm very active. I exercise every day. I ride bicycle every day. But usually I wake up in the middle of the night and it's tingly. I get up and move around, and then it goes away, and so that's what's going on. I eat 100%
with the bicycle, are you're sort of
No,
leaning over to hold the handlebars, or what is it?
It's a recumbent tricycle.
Recumbent, okay.
Yeah. So I'm laid back. Now, when you talk about sitting, I went 40 miles yesterday. So I'm sitting doing that. I'm pedaling and exercising that way. But that was, thank you for sharing that, because I was like, oh, I am sitting more because I stand up. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm standing up now.
Yeah, you got your standing desk going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a desk. It's sort of standing desk. Anyway, yeah. So if you can help me with some hints on what to do.
Absolutely. Well, the classic. So where can you just show us which hand is tingling, where you're feeling that?
It depends. It's both hands on occasion, depending on how I'm sleeping.
Oh, okay.
When I'm sleeping on one side, sometimes it's this hand, and sometimes it's the hand, because I use a big pillow, put a pillow between my legs to keep my spine as straight as I can. Background, I do orthobiotomy on myself sometimes. I took classes on that. I learned that. Yeah. So I think I'm straight. I was at an event a couple days ago, and I'm gonna see a chiropractor, and they're gonna do a scan, because they now have technology that they can scan that gives you colors and stuff like the
right. I know what that is. Yeah.
So I told them, I said, well, I'm probably not a candidate, but I'll give you some money. But it was pretty cheap, $20. And so they're supposed to call me after 10 today.
Okay, I gotcha. All right.
I'm gonna get the images. I'm gonna get everything I can, so I can use that to help me figure out.
So the main thing is numbness and tingling in your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And just when you work, do you do a lot of computer work? Do you do work at your desk working with your mouse or your keyboard?
I'm not sure how much a lot is, but yeah, a lot, probably a lot.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and record.
And that's why I moved I've got a box on my desk now.
Yeah.
To make it so I'm not down like this so much.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
So
let's go ahead and you're doing great. You're doing great. Let's go ahead and record your voice. So in just a moment, I'm going to record you saying your name and the AEIOU. So I'll start recording your voice in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
Dale Maxwell, A-E-I-O-U, Dale Maxwell, A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U.
Perfect, we got it. Yeah, I'm glad you came to class and volunteered, because this is a perfect thing to work on with spinal energy.
I had the script all in my text pad. I was ready to paste it in, and when you said what you were doing, I thought, oh my God.
Let's get a quick smile from you. Okay, fantastic. All right, Dale, I'm going to get right to it. And I noticed you already sent your Quanta Capsule email, which is fantastic. So I will send anything we discover to your Quanta Capsule.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. I love it. Okay. That was great. Perfect. All right. And we will get going with this. So I love that he talked about the numbness and tingling, not that he has it in his hands, because it's so related to spinal energy. And let's go ahead and quickly look at this picture here. See if we can put it side by side. And sort of side by side. I'll probably remove it in just a moment. Let's see. This is a great picture that we're seeing here, just of the cervical spine. And the reason I wanted to bring it in is that it relates so much to what he's talking about. And so nice side view of all the different nerves that emerge from the spine. It shows you some of the muscles, but the point of the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, these nerves, and I know we can find the exact one in just a moment. Let's see. So I think it's C6 and C7 are more related, so they would be down a little bit here. But so C6 and C7, these nerves come down and they actually innervate the hand, the shoulder, that whole area. So often issues with the cervical spine, coming forward and causing compression or some other type of misalignment. So it could be using devices. It could be when he's recumbent. Maybe it's coming forward. It could be when he's working at his desk. And it isn't just one day. Things like this are usually because of repetitive motion. They even call them, they have a name for these groups of issues called RMDs, repetitive motion disorders. And so that is most likely what we're looking at. Even the spinal energy is coming up red for him. So let's just go ahead and look at his aura, and we'll answer some of your questions. So if you come today with questions about your genius, go ahead and put them into the chat, and we try to weave them into, cleverly weave them into our conversation today. And yes, if you do sit for long periods of time, if you can get a standing desk or treadmill or try to get motion during the day, it's really helpful. So great aura, lots of purple in there, really intuition open, higher energies, a little bit of a block going on up here, and a little bit of maybe sort of stagnation or depletion, a little bit going on down here, but overall actually looks really, really good. And I know Dale kind of works on himself on a regular basis. So let's now go to that spinal energy panel and let's take a look. Now, when you go to your spinal energy panel, what it does is it gives you first a visual readout of what the spine looks like energetically from C1 all the way down to the coccyx. So you can read it that way. If you're reading it like a chiropractor, you're kind of looking for the weakest areas and how some may represent compensations of other places. So like if your cervical spine is out, then your lumbar spine often comes in to compensate. So first we can look at it. We can say, okay, C1 is out. That's the highest one up at the top. And your C1 being out is also associated with food allergies. So if you're eating the food you're allergic to, it may cause that C1 to fire off more often. You may see it come up more often. Then we've got thoracic 1, interesting, and thoracic 9, lumbar number 2, and lumbar number 4. Now let's go ahead and let's just go high to low, hoping that that function is working. Yeah. I also like to go high to low because it's just easier visually to see the things that are of issue. And here it instantly kind of points out that C7 makes more sense. And even though it's 619, I usually look at things that are above 600. Okay, so C7 is related to, is more one of those nerves that innervates kind of the shoulder and hand, as well as T1, which we don't see coming up here. So let's just C7, let's read it across. There's nothing actually really helpful in C7, but let's include it anyway. And then thoracic 9, let's look at thoracic 9. Thoracic 9 is related to the adrenal glands. So that's interesting. So let's get the adrenal glands in there. It tells us it could be related to chronic fatigue, and it's about I'm going to read the emotional connection in a positive way. It's about moving into a place of being more empowered. I may change those success cards to read more of the empowerment instead of the actual issue. The empowerment is where I believe people are moving to and wanting to move to instead of staying stuck in a certain energy. Okay, now lumbar number 4, muscles of the lower back, the sciatic nerve, back pain, and also related to moving into a place of more empowerment. So there's a theme going on there. Then we go to thoracic 1. And thoracic 1, this is the one. This is the winner right here. Thoracic 1. Thoracic 1 is specifically connected to forearms, hands, wrist, fingers. And so that's the one. So I want to include the rest of them. And just for those of you who are new, I do include a lot of items that are below 200, even though they are in green and sometimes even close to 200. Let's do a fun thing that we haven't done in a while. Let's bring these into Progressive Insights and see where Progressive Insights recalibrates these two in terms of priority in just a moment. So just to pause here, the first thing that we could do is, because I think this thoracic 1 is really the issue. So you take thoracic 1 and you place it up into the quick zap, and then you put other items in there that would help to transform or move the energy of thoracic 1. So for example, you could take the flower essences. So there are probably some emotions that are related to this issue. And Dawn, I don't know if you're on today, but Dawn sent a great suggestion that I would love for if you're all sitting there, to send to the developer, maybe for the next build. You might not be able to do it in this update, but I think she made a great point that the developer has put the bulk drag and drop colors, and there's a temporary issue here with spacing that's going to be resolved shortly, but it really should be on the bulk items drag. It should show red items and blue items at the top, because we rarely include all the yellows and all the greens. So just send that to the developer. Hey, at the bulk items drag, can you please put red and blue at the top? Because we rarely grab the yellow and the green, if that's something that you like. So now we've been able to take the thoracic energy and add all of the emotional energies that are related. The Bach flower essences represent emotional issues that we're working through, and then actually gives us the facilitative energy that we need to move through the issue. So Larch is about developing more, self-confidence and conviction in yourself, but it is literally giving you the energy, suggesting that you're on the precipice of sort of moving through this issue, or have a strong desire to move through the issue. You could have even been gaining momentum in developing confidence, and this just gives you that little boost or push. And it also is saying, there may be some relation between the thoracic 1 issue and some of these emotional pieces, and that's what we're trying to arrive at. So gentian, larch, white chestnut, star Bethlehem, vine, willow, chestnut bud, and clematis. So we combine all of those emotional energies with the thoracic. And then of course we'd want to add in the 528 hertz from the solfeggios. So we find them in the solfeggio tones. We add that one in. And also we could add in 285 hertz. 285 hertz is really when you're working on repairing tissue, when you want to restore an organ or tissue to its original home frequency. That's what 285 is for. So you make this kind of mini recipe right in your quick zap, and then you might run it for a minute or 2 minutes. So we can close that up there, and then now let's just run it all together so we can see what's running in the tray. And so then you run it for 1 minute, and then you see if you get a rectification percentage. Okay, I think that was my fault. Did it run for a minute? Yeah, I think I shut that off accidentally. Okay, let's see what some of your other questions are. All right. Okay. All right. Karen has said oil, use essential oil Valor at 48 hertz, moves physical energy like a chiropractor in a bottle. Use oils and the genius. And then there's an emotional connection to each spinal point. Thank you, Karen, for that information. There was another question up here. I have a package of Quanta capsules. I believe some updates. We were supposed to delete the Quanta capsule and reinstall it. I'm afraid I might lose my Quanta capsule package. Thank you. No, Pam, you never have to worry about losing your Quanta capsule credits by deleting your Quanta capsule and reinstalling it. No worries at all. If you have any other questions, keep the questions coming and we can go from there. So that was good. That got a little bit of a, it's really interesting. It got a, what is going on here? There we go. That's funny. The rectification percentage was lost. So we've got 51% and then we've got a chime. So very interesting. So now we know that by rectifying these, we've got a 51% rectification working on the thoracic. So that's one way that you could work on the spinal energy. Now, another thing we can do is we can take all of these highs and lows. Now let's go to Progressive Insights and retest them in Progressive Insights. And let's see what comes up. So now it tells us that the highest one is actually thoracic 9, C6, L2, and C7. So it's interesting that C6 and C7, those could also be related to this because of the lower cervical's connection to the shoulder, the muscles of the shoulder, the muscles of the upper arm. And so those could be related. So when we retest, it really tells us that these 4 are the most significant. So that's another way that we could go about the issue in order to resolve the problem for the client. And then we could run that for 1 minute. We can also combine our different nerves. We can also add in, we can add in to the spinal energy, we can add in nerves and nerve elements. But we also want to think about what were the organs and glands that were brought up by some of these. We've already mentioned the adrenals, so we would probably want to look at the adrenals. For thoracic 9, it tells us, no, that's the one related to the adrenals. And then for cervical number 6, the neck, the shoulders, the tonsils, so maybe the throat itself, that could be one. And then L2, let's see, lumbar number 2 is related to the abdomen in specifically, so we could look at the digestive system as well. Okay, so this gives us a 36% rectification. Let's go ahead and do a rescan. And now let's see what other items come up. I always like to do a rescan because that will take us to deeper and deeper layers. So now it says thoracic 5, thoracic 7, and C1. But thoracic 1 is just hanging right below it, so I would include it there. Let's go ahead and play that for 1 minute, and then we're going to add in some elements. Okay, Patty says, are we supposed to delete the Quanta capsule and re-download, which because of Pam mentioning it? No, there's no particular reason to do that today. Pam says, recently when I run the quick zap, no rectification ever show up anymore. So you can report that issue as a bug. There might be some minor bugs. In the most recent update that we had to do for Apple, there were some formatting issues. Those will all be resolved with the new update. So if you can just hang on for another day or two, they should all be good and ready to go. We did post all of the link that you need today in the Q&A. So if you look under answered questions, you can also see the links there. The spine is related to allergies. Is there a guide available? I don't know what you mean by the spine is related to allergies. So if you can elucidate a little bit about what your assertion is there, let me know. There isn't a guide because I don't know what connection you're talking about, but you can certainly tell us more about that. A spinal energy, anything that's out with your spine could be related to anything. So if your spine is out, around the digestive area, like in the thoracics, then it could certainly lead to inflammation in the gut. And that inflammation in the gut could lead to allergies. I did say specifically C1, cervical C1, when it goes out, could be related. If you're eating your food allergies, then it could cause some type of inflammation. I don't have any guide on that in particular. So if you were referring to that, then I do understand what you're saying. Okay, so now it tells us that thoracic 5, L4, L5, and thoracic 9 and 6 coming up. So I see a preponderance of that thoracic energy, which is really interesting. I love to do this, and we got a rectification here instantly of 67%. So I really like to do the sort of the peel the onion mechanism, but I want to back out of this, and now I want to bring some other things into the picture. So we're going to go to the actual libraries themselves and look at some things that would be helpful in this case. When we looked at this, we saw the adrenals. So we want to think about the adrenals. When you think about the adrenals, you can think about minerals, some of the minerals. You can also think about the B vitamins would be very important. And we just want to look at the nerve tonifying panel overall, and then some of the nervous system panels as well. You can also consider the just sort of the deep relaxation, some of the deep relaxation frequencies that we have, just sort of tonifying the nerves overall. Let's go ahead now and go to the nerve tonifying panel. Oh, it's interesting. It tells us of the nerve ganglia, which are different parts of the nerve itself where they come together in different groups. So let's look at the nerve tonifying. And the maxillary nerve, the buccal nerve, the facial nerve, a lot of the nerves up here, interestingly enough, and the inferior alveolar nerve. Wow, a lot of nerves around the face coming up. That's kind of interesting. And then optic nerve, esophageal plexus, cochlear nerve. So we're going to tonify the nerves overall from the nerve tonifying panel. And let's look at that radionic rates one. That's interesting. All of the different, the trigeminal ganglion, the cerebral ganglion, a ganglia is a group of nerves. So where they all come together. So let's include those overall for general tonification of the nervous system. And we also have the deep relaxation panel. Let's look at that one. Deep relaxation. And well, there's a couple related to this. I was looking for this, the stress release and deep relaxation program. So this one, stress release and deep relaxation, the limbic system, serotonin, norepinephrine, phosphorylated serine. This is such a powerful amino acid. And it's great to take it for when you're working on adrenals. We've talked a lot about the adaptogens and how powerful the adaptogens are. So with the adaptogens themselves, those are great. But what phosphorylated serine does is it helps to bind up cortisol in the evening. So if you take it in the early evening and before bedtime, it's really powerful to help people get into a deep state of relaxation and sleep. And you want to work on the adrenals whenever anybody has numbness and tingling. You could work on the nerve itself. You could work on the spinal energy. But you also just want to work on their adrenals and make sure their whole nervous system is supported. And that means they have to be their stress has to be modulated. And to do that, you could work on the adrenals. So, so some different herbs here. Relaxation at 8 hertz, calming and soothing, rife frequencies. Then we go down here, some magnesium. Magnesium, of course, always something that we could use more of because it's so deficient in the soil, and because in general, people don't always eat enough green leafy vegetables. And even then, there can be a deficiency. So hops, which is relaxing, some rife frequencies for feeling joyful, vitamin B12, epinephrine, N-acetylcysteine for detox, and so forth. So those are for stress release. Let's look at a couple of these other ones. We just did this one for the library discount club. to help to regenerate and repair. So let's include those as well. And let's also include this deep relaxation and fascial release and uplift. So any blockages to deep breathing are now cleared, dropping into deep alpha wave relaxation. So all of this attempt to relax, to de-stress, and also support the adrenals will help to support the overall terrain or conditions within this numbness and tingling is occurring. And then you can also work on the nerves themselves, and you work on spinal energy. Now, I want to add in a few more things that are really important, and that would be the muscles. So let's look at the muscles of the shoulder. I think it would be the neck and shoulder. The muscles of the, let's see what our choices are. The back and the neck. Let's do the back and the neck. So the muscles of the back and the neck would be significant because those could be impinging, right, on the nerves going down the arm. And then one more, we also want to work on the ones of the shoulder, arms, and hand. So even, you know, if it's not at the neck itself, it could be because repetitive motion at the level of the hands, either working at the mouse, the keyboard, or even on the bicycle, on the recumbent bicycle, how he's reaching out to the handlebars and so forth. So all of those things, you know, could be definitely considered. I think we got these right. And then we just wanted to look at the ligaments. So ligaments are how the muscles are held to the bone. So it's interesting, look at the ligaments for the shoulder, arm, and hand are actually showing that they're out of balance. So then we would include all of these. These are the actual ligaments that are connecting the muscle to the bone. And let's include those. Now, a little trick here brought to us by wonderful Karen McDonald is, you know, you could also include things that alkalize the body. So anytime you have pain, you have an issue, you have a malady, you have a chronic condition, consider taking steps to alkalize using alfalfa grasses, barley grasses, wheatgrass. Anything will get better by actually working at the level of the pH. So we have some pH solutions, pH 2 acidic, and encouraging him to alkalize. I think there's a few other ones here. Let's see, pH assessment, pH balance. That's the one I was looking for. So it's encouraging him to do some greens. The coral calcium is a great alkalizer. There's all types of alkalizing salts. Now, we've gathered up a lot of items into our main whole tray. The whole purpose of our progressive insights is to say, out of these 151 items, which were our best guess, combined with the power of biofeedback, giving us personalized frequencies, based on this information, what is the highest level of priority for his biofield, telling us what the root cause is, what some of the highest priority issues are. So first, it's telling us some things that don't seem directly related, but they are interesting. Autophagy. So when you fast, or intermittent fasting helps this autophagy, which is a cleansing mechanism for the brain. Inferior alveolar nerve, that's in the around the face. The melatonin, so maybe getting more deep and restful sleep would help with this numbness and tingling in the hands. Serratus anterior, this is around the shoulder. Levator, right? The levator scapulae. So something, again, another tight muscle around the shoulder. So we're working to relax the muscles through entraining frequencies that help to reduce stress disturbances at the level of the muscle. Detox, the ligaments, spontaneous cellular repair, calming and soothing Hertz energy. C2 now comes up at the highest level of priority. Adductor pollicis, so all of these muscles. Muscles holding fear now release. Fascia now releases stored anxiety. So as a practitioner, you'd want to look at those two items there. Muscles holding fear now all release. Fascia now releases stored anxiety. It's really interesting. Human growth hormone helps us to heal faster, but it decreases as we age. And if we're not getting deep sleep because we don't have adequate levels of melatonin, then we're also not spiking that human growth hormone at night while we sleep. Longer periods of fasting. So if you stop eating like around 7 o'clock in the evening, that's going to give you the longer time that you sort of finish that early dinner and take you into, the more that you're in a fasting state when you're going to sleep, the better you're able to produce human growth hormone. Blood to the brain is now optimized. It's interesting, the ganglion between the two cervical arteries, which is bringing blood flow to the neck. What I love so much about biofeedback is it is able to pick up in a multidimensional way all of these things that we may have not previously considered. And in Progressive Insights, it puts them in an order where you can see all of these things are being picked up and considered by the biofield, something of the mind, something of the emotions, something of the physical body. Cognitively, if we were to try to apply that prioritization ourselves from our cognitive minds, it would be so much more difficult unless you're the most sort of erudite and experienced practitioner. So I love that biofeedback allows you to put all these pieces together and work in this very multidimensional way, because so many things are interrelated in the human body, in the person's being, that we can't always easily see. Okay. All right, so these companies who put together binaural beats in specific frequencies, is it worth my time to listen to these frequencies? Okay, that is a question, great question, Keith. Has nothing to do with the genius. Still be happy to entertain the question. Yes, binaural beat technology can be very, very powerful. I like the HemiSync, the company that does the HemiSync binaural beats, and I've listened to it myself and gotten great benefit from it. And then Michelle says, I would be concerned about the source due to subliminal messaging. I will leave that up to an individual interpretation of that comment. And Dale has asked for 2 exports to his capsule, but I'll absolutely do that for you, Dale. I want to be clear about what he's asking for so that you may want to do this for yourself. What he's wanting to do is have all the high items sent to him in the capsule. We can do that now. We do that, and in the new version, this is going to be a lot more explicit that this is related to a QuantaCapsule export, thank goodness. But we touch that share button, and then we find his email address. Came prepared, I love it. All right, and we're going to go to 1@frequencymiracles.com. Whoops. Frequency, I think I was right. Frequency. Oh my goodness, let's see if it adds it. Yes, it does. Okay. So I'm going to do 1 export, which is like that. So that's just the high items. And then also because he just wants to review all the frequencies that it came up for him. But I think that's an interesting idea. I wouldn't recommend it for clients, but you may want to do 2 exports to yourself where you could run every single thing that came up for you. And then another one where you can just run the high items. Okay. And one more time. There we go. So there you go, Dale. You got both of them now. Have fun with both of those, and tell me share with us your experience if it helps, makes a difference, and so forth. Let's look at his ending aura as we get ready to wrap this up for today. And let's go to the aura itself. And let's see what we've got here. Okay, so Michelle says spinal nerves, ? Michelle, not sure what that means. She's got another question here, says, are these acupressure points? They're not acupressure points. They're representing the spinal nerves. That's what they're representing. Is there a TMJ release? There's actually a library for that. So look at TMJ assessment and TMJ solutions. An interesting ending aura. It kind of went right into sort of a physical detox, which is interesting. So for Dale, I probably would do all of the solfeggios at the top to sort of top up the day and sort of end on a good note. And so I would go here to, you've seen me do this many times before. I would just simply go to the solfeggio tones, find them, and put all of them into that quick zap tray. Like I said, the spacing will be cleared up, but I do think red and blue items needs to go right to the top. Oh, that's weird. Are there only 8 solfeggios? Wait, let's try this again. 8. There's 9 Nogiers and 8 solfeggios, I guess. No, there's 9 solfeggios. Okay, I thought there was one missing. All right, there we go. And then we just have them all in the tray and we can play them like that. And let's see. On the solfeggios as one of your, make the solfeggios as one of your custom playlists. That's a really good idea. So very, very good. Okay, excellent. And let's see, T6 relates to food sensitivities and T9 to allergies. My chiropractor asked me what I ate for lunch since my C1 was out of balance. See, that's widely known amongst the naturopaths and chiropractors about C1. So I'm glad that another chiropractor confirmed that connection of C1 to the actual food allergies. Of course, when you consider any food allergy, you want to go ahead and look at your gut health, look at inflammation, look at histamine, consider all of those things in conjunction with the actual spinal energy. This week, we do have a free class on Thursday. Please check out our events page. We also have a brand new Q&A on Wednesdays. That's also at our, that's being hosted by our Genius practitioners. And it is also available on the events page at geniusbiofeedback.com. Now let's peek one more time at that ending aura and see if it's changed at all in the 1 minute of running the solfeggio frequencies. Let's see. Thank you all for bringing excellent questions today. All of your questions really make the class, and we really appreciate it. Wow. Well, that's just 1 minute on the solfeggios, really a dynamic change. And I would probably continue to do that for about maybe another 5 or 8 minutes. So we started here and then sort of moved into this physical kind of detox, liver, gallbladder. Interesting, isn't it? Since you're working on completely other things. And now sort of moving in a lot of green healing energy, just a lot of dynamic change happening in that aura. Really interesting. Well, Dale, I hope your numbness and tingling starts to improve. And I hope that these frequencies help you in achieving that goal. Just want to call attention that there's no class with Benet tomorrow. Then we do have a new weekly Q&A for new folks, basics, or just come to observe, but come with your questions. It's really important. Questions will drive this class. So you can come to the Wednesday noon class with either Andrea will be 1 week, Mary will be the other week, and they will be answering all of your questions. They're great trainers, they're knowledgeable, and you can just ask them, show me synergistics, show me the Nogiers, tell me about the neuro remedy. That's what that class is for. Then our podcast is on Thursday, and oops, we should have posted also, we do have a class coming up, which is our free class for the power of affirmations. So I will post that in the newsletter that will come out later today. Later today, you'll get an email all about the upcoming events for this week, as well as any news about updates and so forth. And so if you'd like to join us on Thursday, that link for that class will be available. And it also did go out on Friday. So if you check Friday's email, you can see it there as well. Okay. All right. And yes, we'll post that soon. Okay, Michelle, thank you for your great questions. Bonnie, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Great class today in terms of the excellent questions. We'll see you back here next week. Next week, we're going to review the Nogier frequencies. So we haven't done that in a while. And some people expressly focus only on the Nogiers. If you know Marilyn, I don't know if she's joining us today, Marilyn in Puerto Rico, she does a tremendous amount of work just from the standpoint of the Nogier frequencies, never leaves them out of what she's doing. So next week, we'll study the Nogier frequencies. Hope you have a great week, everyone. Hope you get to join us at other events during the week. Take care. Bye-bye for now.